The human mind possesses a remarkable, life-altering capacity to step outside the frantic current of its own thoughts and actively observe its own internal processing with absolute kindness, curiosity, and clarity. For generations, traditional psychology viewed the adult brain as a rigid, static organ whose hardwired neural pathways were permanently fixed during early childhood, treating our deep-seated behavioral habits, emotional reactivity, and mental anxieties as an unchangeable biological destiny. In his pioneering, interdisciplinary masterpiece, The Mindful Brain, psychiatrist Daniel J. Siegel completely shatters this obsolete paradigm, presenting a brilliant synthesis of interpersonal neurobiology and secular mindfulness practices. The deliberate cultivation of present-moment awareness acts as a powerful, physical catalyst that literally reshapes the structural architecture of our brains. Siegel pulls mindfulness out of the realm of esoteric mysticism and grounds it firmly into the hard data of neuroscience, revealing that when we train our minds to focus on the immediate present, we are actively driving the process of neuroplasticity, the brain's lifelong ability to grow new neural connections, dissolve toxic behavioral loops, and unlock a profound state of internal well-being. To understand how the simple act of paying attention can physically alter the cellular structures of our heads, we must isolate the concept Siegel terms mindful awareness. Mindful awareness is not a passive, dreamy state of relaxation or an escape from reality. It is an active, highly sophisticated form of mental training that involves focusing our consciousness on the immediate present moment with a specific psychological attitude. Siegel introduces a powerful acronym to define this optimal state of mind, COAL, which stands for curiosity, openness, acceptance, and love. The vast majority of regular people spend their waking hours caught in a state of mindless reactivity, operating on a complex network of automatic, subconscious neural programs known as top-down processing. In this state, when a new event occurs in our environment, whether it is a minor creative setback or a difficult interpersonal conversation, our brains instantly filter the raw data of the present moment through the thick, distorted lens of our past memories, historical traumas, and ingrained prejudices. We don't actually see the reality of what is happening right now. Instead, we see our brain's rapid, biased interpretation of it, which instantly triggers an automatic flood of stress hormones, defensive reactions, and familiar emotional scripts. Mindful awareness systematically breaks this top-down tyranny by activating bottom-up processing, the capacity to receive sensory information, internal bodily states, and mental thoughts precisely as they are, completely free from the immediate weight of prior judgment. This neurobiological shift achieves its ultimate leverage through the activation and development of the prefrontal cortex, specifically the middle prefrontal regions that wrap around the executive center of our brains. Siegel reveals that this specific, high-leverage neural zone is responsible for coordinating 9 distinct, vital functions required for a highly integrated, successful human life: bodily regulation, attuned communication, emotional balance, response flexibility, fear modulation, insight, empathy, morality, and intuition. When you practice mindfulness, you are not merely engaging in a comforting mental exercise, you are sending dense bursts of neural electrical firing directly into this middle prefrontal region, stimulating the growth of fresh synaptic connections and thickening the cortical layers of the brain. Consider the profound biological mechanism of response flexibility, the capacity to put a deliberate, conscious pause between an external environmental trigger and your internal behavioral response. The unintegrated brain lacks this pause, reacting to a stressful prompt with an immediate, explosive outburst from the primitive limbic system. By strengthening the middle prefrontal cortex through consistent mindfulness training, you actively build a robust inhibitory neural pathway that reaches down into the reactive limbic system, allowing you to calm your own nervous system, override your primal fight or flight impulses, and consciously choose a highly constructive, intelligent course of action under intense pressure. This internal integration is further deepened by a psychological skill Siegel labels mindsight, the capacity to see the internal workings of your own mind and the minds of others with absolute clarity and deep empathy. Mindsight allows an individual to recognize that they are not identical to their passing mental phenomena. When a sudden wave of intense anxiety or creative self-doubt floods your consciousness, the average untrained person instantly identifies with the feeling, declaring, "I am a failure," and "I am completely terrified." Mindsight alters this internal syntax entirely, enabling you to step back into the stance of the conscious observer and declare, "I am currently witnessing a wave of anxiety passing through my awareness." This is not a semantic trick. It is a profound neurological shift that activates the brain's internal monitoring systems, allowing you to contain and process the emotion without letting it hijack your identity or dictate your behavior. Furthermore, Siegel demonstrates that this internal capacity for self-attunement is the exact biological foundation required to build deep, empathetic relationships with others. When you are deeply attuned to your own internal bodily sensations, emotional currents, and mental states, your mirror neuron systems are optimized to pick up and resonance simulate the subtle, unspoken non-verbal frequencies of the people around you, enabling you to practice true, transformational leadership and collaboration. To bridge the gap between abstract neurobiology and our daily creative workflows, Siegel explores the concept of the wheel of awareness, a powerful cognitive tool designed to systematically expand our capacity for consciousness. Imagine a wheel where the central hub represents the pure, untainted awareness of your mind, the part of you that witnesses reality, while the outer rim contains all the specific objects of attention that can be known. The rim is divided into 4 distinct quadrants. The first quadrant holds our traditional 5 senses. The second quadrant holds our internal bodily sensations, known as interoception. The third quadrant holds our mental activities, such as our thoughts, memories, and emotions, and the fourth quadrant holds our relational connections with the outside world. Most people live their lives with the beam of their attention permanently stuck on a few chaotic, distressing objects on the rim, such as a repetitive anxious thought or a frustrating external event, leaving them feeling scattered, exhausted, and deeply reactive. The practice of the wheel of awareness involves systematically moving the beam of your attention smoothly across all 4 quadrants of the rim, and then deliberately drawing that beam back into the central hub of pure awareness itself. When you rest your mind within the hub, you are experiencing what Siegel terms a state of maximum integration, a clear, spacious mental zone where you are no longer overwhelmed by the passing noise of the rim, unlocking a profound sense of deep peace, limitless creative potential, and clear, unshakable focus. This systematic cultivation of mental integration acts as a powerful shield against the devastating modern epidemic of chronic stress, creative burnout, and emotional exhaustion. When an individual operates in a state of low neural integration, their mind naturally swings erratically between 2 toxic extremes, the shore of rigidity and the shore of chaos. One day they are stuck in a rigid, frozen pattern of perfectionism, defensive thinking, and stubborn resistance to change. The next day they plunge into a chaotic swamp of overwhelming anxiety, emotional outbursts, and fragmented focus. True mental health is the capacity to steer your vessel directly down the center of the river, navigating the smooth current of integration where your mind is simultaneously flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, and stable. By building automated daily rituals of mindful presence, you preserve your finite cognitive capital, reset your autonomic nervous system, and clear away the accumulating layers of psychological residue that dull your creative processing. You no longer have to rely on raw willpower or frantic time management strategies to survive the demands of your industry. You simply operate out of a baseline of neurological harmony that naturally radiates clarity and resilience into everything you create. Ultimately, the mindful brain is a revolutionary, liberating manifesto that completely redefines the relationship between our minds, our bodies, and our destinies. It forcefully reminds us that we are not the helpless, passive victims of our genetic inheritances, our historical conditioning, or our current stressful environments. True strategic genius, creative mastery, and internal peace belong to the individual who possesses the courage to look inward, to step onto the horizontal timeline of life with absolute presence, and to actively direct the physical evolution of their own brain. The journey to an extraordinary life of deep alignment and cognitive flexibility does not require a genetic miracle or an external validation from the crowd. It simply requires you to slow down, to bring the warm light of curiosity and acceptance to your immediate internal experience, and to honor the delicate biological architecture of your consciousness. By choosing mindful awareness over automatic reactivity, bottom-up processing over top-down filters, and radical internal integration over chaotic distraction, you break the chains of behavioral dysfunction forever. The next time you find yourself standing at a chaotic professional crossroads or caught in an overwhelming wave of internal pressure, pause. Take a deep breath. Drop into the hub of your awareness and claim the mindful sovereignty you were actually born to embody.